Today we are presenting to you the famous book Dopamine Detox by Thibaut Muris. Let's get started. Introduction. Tell me if this is you. You know that if you could tackle just one specific task, it would have a massive impact on your overall levels of productivity. Perhaps it would improve your chances of earning a promotion, or perhaps it would enhance your mental or physical well-being, but you never seem to start. Instead of working on your goal first thing in the morning, you end up checking your emails, looking at your stock portfolio, or scrolling your Facebook newsfeed instead. Soon enough, that important task will appear less and less appealing. You tell yourself you'll just have one more coffee, or you'll click on just one more YouTube video, but the more you delay your task, the harder it becomes to get started. It's as though an invisible mental barrier had appeared between you and your task, and this barrier seems impossible to overcome. Have you ever felt this way? If so, you'll greatly benefit from this book. In it, we'll introduce a simple method you can use to avoid overstimulation and make it easier to tackle your key tasks. So, are you up for the challenge? In Part I, Dopamine and the Role It Plays, we'll explain what dopamine actually is and how it works. After reading this section, you'll understand why you can't stop checking your phone, struggle to stay away from social media, or binge watch videos. In Part II, The Problem, we'll see why dopamine can be an issue these days. In this part, you'll discover how your dopamine transmitters have been hijacked and why this can be a major challenge. In Part 3, The Benefits of a Detox, we'll review all the reasons a dopamine detox can be useful. We'll introduce a number of different types of dopamine detoxes, and we will discuss several misconceptions regarding dopamine. In Part IV, a 3-step method for a successful detox, we'll explain in detail how you can implement an effective dopamine detox in 3 simple steps. In Part V, Doing the Work and Overcoming Procrastination, we'll focus on getting you back to work. In this segment, you'll learn how to plan your day effectively and remove distractions to help you remain focused. Finally, in Part V, Avoiding Dopamine Relapse, we'll work through some simple tools and techniques to help you avoid overstimulation and stay focused on your key tasks over the long term. Let's get started, shall we? Get your free step-by-step workbook from the link in the description below. To help reclaim your focus, author have created a workbook as a companion guide to this book. Make sure you download it at the following URL. Part I, Dopamine and the Role It Plays. You've probably heard about dopamine before and have at least a vague idea of what it is. In this section, we'll briefly define dopamine and describe the role it plays. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter which makes us anticipate rewards such as having sexual relationships or eating nourishing food. Dopamine gives us the desire to take action to earn the exciting reward that's waiting for us. It is the force that makes us act. As such, it is a very useful neurotransmitter that has helped us survive and reproduce, and probably one of the main reasons you and I exist today. Contrary to what many people believe, dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. Simply because an event triggers the release of dopamine doesn't mean it is something we like or get pleasure from. In fact, when you pay close attention, you'll notice that as soon as you obtain the expected reward, you'll often feel empty and unfulfilled. The truth is that no amount of stimulation will ever bring you the sense of fulfillment you're seeking. Yet, many of us are constantly overstimulated, looking for the next source that could trigger a release of dopamine. It seems as though we always want more and are never satisfied. And the more we seek stimulation, the worse it becomes. Now, look at your own life. What are you addicted to? What do you crave? What are your main sources of stimulation? Do these things really make you happy? As you consider these questions, you'll probably notice that you're addicted to highly stimulating activities, such as watching video games, immersing yourself in social media, or reading emails. When you undertake these activities, you start losing self-control. You want more and more stimulation. And even though they may not give you any real pleasure or lasting fulfillment, you keep doing them. After all, you need the next hit of dopamine, don't you? Under such a state of stimulation, any task that requires concentration becomes much harder to perform. As a result, you will procrastinate. You delay writing that book you've always planned. You put off starting that new venture. Or you'll postpone that key project you're in charge of. To sum up, from an evolutionary perspective, dopamine's role is to encourage you to act to earn the anticipated reward needed for your survival or reproduction. This is dopamine's primary role. Unfortunately, in today's world, the process has been hijacked, which leads to many unintended consequences, as we'll discuss in the next section.